I get the same feeling, so I'm coming day and night.
Can you fly, Bobby?
Can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
She's already contaminated by this odd substance.
Jesus wept.
I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!"
Right. Welcome to another fine edition of Let's Write a Fucking Screenplay, fam. And now I'm immediately going to be docked from advertisements just for saying fuck. But anyway, we are back. And today we're going to try and knock out a few days worth of questions. This is sort of going, I feel like, I don't know. I'm back and forth on this. On the one hand, I want to speed through all the questions and answer bullshit because it doesn't appeal to me as much as the actual writing and structure aspects. And I think that is perhaps a negative. I think that perhaps it is not the right way to go about things because it is not how Alan Watt formatted the book. But I also feel like some of this I feel like some of this is somewhat arbitrary. I think that it's important to get to know your characters and all that. I don't know that it needs to be sectioned out into 90 days. I feel like with how this is sectioned out, if you're doing it right, which I don't know that I necessarily am, but if you're doing it right, then you should, in theory, be able to do it much quicker than 90 days. So that's why we're going to kind of plop through things. We're going to dive right in, though. And you can see here, I have day 15's chapter up. And I'm using a different window, so things are looking a little different today. And this is about the dramatic question. And I feel a little critical of Alan Watt's writing here because he really only gives one example of a dramatic question, despite having two film examples. He does dig into Forrest Gump, but he does not give us like a solid question, so to speak. Whereas for Anchorman, he gives us the dramatic argument, which I take as the dramatic question, which is, can men and women work together? I feel like, considering where he goes with the question for the day, the first question for the day, it really should be more descriptive of that, but whatever. He also talks about developing an outline. He does not make this part of the writing exercises for the day, which I also feel is probably a little silly. I feel like this should be part of the writing exercises. But I guess let's go through that first, and then we'll get to the exercises, because I'd like to come back to this outline throughout the program and deal in it. First, I'm going to drink some water because my throat's getting all fucky. All right. So in part 3, you'll find the 3-act structure worksheets. So if you go, we'll just go over there real quick. As you can see, these are not terribly complicated things. You have Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. They're meant to be 3 separate pages, and you would use bullet points to go through each one. You can use note cards. He mentions that you can use note cards. You can see each one has the page numbers that, in theory, in a 120-page screenplay, where these would go. Now, we're probably not going to be doing 120 pages for our screenplay because this is technically a slasher film, and no slasher needs to be 120 minutes. Hello, Terrifier. But we're going to go with it as is, and then we can our first script will be a little long anyway, and then we can tamp it down. So we'll just go with the 120 pages as to have an example. Each one shows us what is happening in those pages. So pages 65 through 75, our hero suffers. Pages 80 through 90, our hero surrenders. Page 90, our hero accepts the reality of his situation, etc. And I think this is fine. I again prefer 8 sequences to this. This feels more like how oh shoot. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. Oh, darn it. Oh gosh, dang it. The Save the Cat guy. However you put, this feels like the Save the Cat method more than the 8 sequence method, and I feel the 8 sequence method is superior. We can dig into that more in the future. The basics remain the same, however. So let's go back to table of contents. Dramatic question. I have gone ahead and put together in Milanote. If this was a stream that had any sort of success, then this might be my sponsor. However, it is just something that I really like. Milanote. If you want to see a look into my own deranged mind, this was my initial outline space for Twink of the Damned when it was just a movie, or just the movie that is now within the movie. And there's a lot of just sequences and what have you that I suggested and never actually wrote. I never wrote a sexy Jesus dream. There's not an opening slasher sequence. I do have an underwater Emmanuel in America riff in there. There is a shower sequence. Cavorting on bed sequence that's necessary for a 1313 riff. Nightclub burlesque I kind of wrote in, but it's not really there. Pea soup cum shot, did not do that, even though it would be great. There's a lot of stuff in here that I did not write up. Yeah, but anyway, so now I have my new outline for version 2 of Twink of the Damned, and I've taken each of those sections, Act 1, 2, and 3, and given them their own cards. So if I want to add in page 1's opening, I really want to start on an edit. So Josh talking with let's say crew member. I don't really know who it'll be yet. About film over edit of the film. So I can put that there, and that's 1 bit. And then I can also go ahead and add a second one and I mean, we can get a sexy Jesus stream in there. I feel like that's totally doable. But I can add in as many cards as I want to each of these columns and again, go through each one. If you have a lot of entries in each column, then you could take Act 1 and make it a board and just take all 3 of these and plop them in there. I'm not going to do that. I feel like I'm fine the way I am, and I like that I can see everything at once. If need be, I'll just take this and move it down a little bit. No big deal. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So that's the outline as given in Alan Watts' book, and how we'll be assessing that. Man. All right, so on to the questions for the day. First up is, and you can't even see it because it's way down here. What is the dramatic question in your story? Through this question, do you see the dilemma? for your characters? How does this dramatic question get reframed for your protagonist? All right. So, I mean, the dramatic question is, will Josh finish this movie? And by the end of the film, he will have to abandon it in order to make it. Easy. The greatest. Then let's see here. As your protagonist, write for 5 minutes. This is really boring. But let's just go through these real fast. So, as protagonist, the greatest thrill of my life was when I showed my first film to a live audience. I think that's fair. My most painful memory is the day everything fell apart on Twink. And like his most painful memory could also be a different film entirely where something fell apart. But at the end of the day, he finished that film, and that kind of not erases that negative, painful memory, but covers it up a bit. Whereas this is the freshest painful memory. So yeah. And more specifically, I let everything get out of hand, and in the end had no more money to spend. I failed the production and myself. I need to be forgiven for wasting the money that was given to me. All right, and then 3 is to do the same for the antagonist, or for an antagonist. And for this one, I think I'll go with Mickey as an antagonist. Mickey being Josh's lover / principal actor. So the greatest thrill of my life was when, there we go, I met Josh Wakefield, which I think is, it's a bit basic, but we're working on this based on how they react to things within the story and how they exist within the story. I don't really feel like there's a necessity to come up with really complicated backstories for some of these characters. At the end of the day, they are there to serve a purpose, and their purpose is to back up the themes that we are setting forth. So I see this as totally reasonable. And I honestly, I can't tell based on the book what Alan Watt would think of this, because he's really not giving me a lot of details. He's kind of just not. I appreciate what he's saying in this chapter, but you can even see it's not a lot to go on. He gives me 2 examples of movies. One of them, he gives a dramatic question. The other one, he gives, the makings of the dramatic question. And that's about it. And it seems like there should be more in each chapter, kind of discussing the point, not the point behind the daily exercises, but discussing how to go about them. I feel like would make for a better book. Instead, it feels kind of like he's giving us platitudes, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Anyway, my most painful memory is seeing Josh crumple under defeat. I don't know that he has anything else really in his life so far. I haven't thought that deeply about Mickey's character. I probably should, but I'm not. I need to be forgiven for secretly thinking that Josh should accept his defeat and move on. I feel like that's I feel like it's nice to have for Mickey to be at least a little pragmatic about it and recognize that Josh does have a serious weakness here, and that it could be like he should give him all the support that he needs, but he should also have a conflict within him about the movie and about what it's doing to Josh. Let's see. So that takes care of day 15. Day 16. Oh wait, first we have homework for the week. Spend a half hour a day working on the stream of consciousness writing exercises. I haven't been doing that. That's my bad. They're basically more of these where I don't love doing them, but I really should. So we'll I don't know. I guess I'll maybe do that on my off time. I don't know. To spend at least a half hour a day imagining the world of your story. Again, this simply means asking questions of your story. Jeez. Each answer begets more questions, make choices, hold them loosely. And this is another one it's so vague. Spend half an hour a day imagining the world of your story. I guess I do that already. I don't know. But as he says, it simply means asking questions of your story. I could probably do that more. And then 3, spend at least half an hour a day inquiring into the structure questions in part 3. Don't just write on a question once, work with them daily. The goal is not to plot out our story in a single sitting. And this is, did we? Well, this is where. I don't actually know. I don't remember where we did this. But the questions in part 3, are here. Act 1, beginning. What is the world in which my story exists? What is the dilemma at the heart of my story? I don't remember if we did these or not. But these are also important. Let's shoot. This brings me into a conundrum. Let's do this on a separate day. Today's gonna be a bit of a get shit out of the way day, because I'd like us to get to the outline phase, and the story structure questions will feed into the outline phase quite a bit. So I think that this is probably fine the way we're doing it. So anyway, day 16, writing the forbidden. I didn't really have much takeaway from this. He does use burn after reading as an example, quite like that. But yeah, when we write from the personal, we connect to the universal. Again, it feels like platitudes. In acknowledging our weaknesses, we are set free. So choose an antagonist, and from their point of view, write for 5 minutes. So the question is, which antagonist do we want to write with? I kind of want to use Marilyn, the producer. Yeah, let's and in fact, let's note antagonist Marilyn. I am lost without money. I'm looking forward to the day when I no longer have to waste money on low rent productions and can join my fellow elites. I feel like Marilyn is the kind of person who she doesn't quite have the opportunity, because she also wants success. Every character in this film wants success to some degree, specifically filmmaking success. And Marilyn wants to be like producing Tom Cruise pictures. She doesn't want to be producing low rent gay softcore pornography, but that's where she is in life, and she is resentful of that and believes herself to be an elite. The defining moment of my life was when, okay. So Marilyn, what does Marilyn remember as the defining moment of her life? That thing that turned her into the greedy bitch that she is. And what can we do to give Ginger, if it is Ginger, I have to be able to afford Ginger, but if we get Ginger, what is it that makes her tick? The defining moment of my life was when my parents got me a, how fucked can I make this? Got me a puppy. Ooh. That's actually, I was going to go with a sappy story, but Gray has a great idea. One successful film years ago. That is not bad at all. Let's try it. The defining moment of my life was my one big success. The Gaze of Winter. A softcore film that did gangbusters on Cinemax, because she's also older, so doing like a bikini, or what is it, Busty Cops, doing her own Busty Cops type. Ooh, actually, let's go a little bit more straightforward. Titty Cops, a film that did gangbusters on Cinemax. There we go. It's making Titty Cops that was the defining moment of her life, was Titty Cops. The sequels, Titty Cops 2 and Titty Cops 3, back. Let's see. I don't have a good subtitle, but Titty Cops 3. Were also a grand slam that has yet to be repeated. There we go. That gives us a better idea of Marilyn. The titology, I think, is yeah. The titagy. What works better, titagy or titology? The place I go when I don't want anyone to find me is oh, that's great. Oh, you need to get on the screen for that one. That's perfect. Titty Cops 3, Out of Uniform. That's amazing. This is actually now a movie I want to make. Titty Cops. That's my dream. That's my new dream, is to write Titty Cops. The place I go when I don't want anyone to find me is my office, I guess. Well, no, don't want anyone to find me. Is my secret apartment in downtown Vegas. That's also where I keep all of my mementos to keep me grounded in the Titty Cops Titty Cops. Titty Cops would be a great movie. Jeez. We should just abandon this right now and make Titty Cops. Yeah, that's where she keeps all of her mementos and everything, is in a downtown apartment. The thing I care most about is money. Duh. Every time I think I'm going to get what I want, it seems that some fucking asshole filmmaker screws it up for me. 1 second. My cat, I can hear my cat yelling to get let in. Cats. Hey, Anya. Now Anya's in here. All these animals. There's too many animals in this room, in this house. Yeah, every time I think I'm going to get what I want, it seems that some fucking asshole filmmaker screws it up for me. I think that's very indicative of the theme too, because it seems like everybody wants to place blame on someone else. And like the problem with Marilyn is Marilyn isn't giving money to the right people, and she's not fostering these projects the way that she should be. She just says, hey, here's 10 grand, make me some content, and that's it. And as long as she has that mentality, she's not going to get where she wants to be, much like how Josh is not going to get where he wants to be with his current mindset. All right, so we move on to day 17, developing conflict. And the art of storytelling lies in the ability to build and release tension through conflict. Is good to remember. But it's basically just a whole thing about how story is about theme. The want informs the plot points, and the plot points help to clarify the want. Not completely just useless platitudes, but still remaining close. And this one, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines that we need to fill in. As your protagonist, write for 5 minutes, beginning with something I know that no one else knows is, I feel like this is just more stuff that we've already gone over, but something I know that no one else knows is, it's already been, oh my God, it's already been almost 30 minutes. Jeez. Gotta get this fucking going. Something I know that no one else knows is that I mean, I hate to keep putting this, but I wasted the money for Twink. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, that's his big secret. I still can't believe that Titty Cops has 3 entries. Let's see. Titty Cops. Bow, 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 Titty Cops. I still can't believe that. Okay, here's a question. What's his version of The Head? What's his movie that gained him his notoriety? Not that The Head really gained me much notoriety or anything, but it's my most successful movie, so we'll go with it. What is... Oh, wait, I can use The Gaze of Winter. I still can't believe that The Gaze of Winter was such a huge success on streaming. Gay mumblecore. Actually, honestly, great. You say gay mumblecore is a great subgenre for Josh to be a part of. It truly is. God, I want to explore this world more now. All right, the greatest love of my life. See, this is where I wish there was some explanation as to what Alan Watt wants from us, because like the greatest love of my life, I don't know if that's meant to be a person or like a passion in life. I'm gonna say Mickey. He's my rock. Last time I remember laughing hard was when I got stung on the nose by a bee during production on Twink. It was just too perfect and funny despite the pain. And I laughed my ass off. That's based on a real story. I did get stung on the nose by a bee. The one thing I could never survive. Oh, you're right. You're right, Cinematech. You're right. We do need to have a slipcover related gag in the final film. I think what I might do is get some. I was thinking of getting some fake Blu-rays made anyway for like the collection of films that Josh has made, and yeah, we definitely will have to get some slipcovers made for those. Yeah, there's a lot of production design that's going to go into this movie. It feels like. All right, so brain. The one thing I could never survive is a nuclear blast. Let's see here. I got tagged in a post on Facebook. Who's tagging me? The one thing I could never survive is Titty Cops 4. The one thing I could never survive is getting ass blasted by the Cyclops. I guess in his mind, the one thing he could never survive is failing to get a project finished, because he's also someone who's, unlike me, he's shitting out movies. And so the idea of not finishing something is just impossible. You can't imagine not finishing a project. If I could do one thing differently from my past, it would be not wasting that fucking money. Cool. That's day 17. Done. Day 18. The lens through which we see our story. I feel like I had something highlighted in here on my Kindle, but it does not look like it ported over. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. We are exploring the nature of events in order to develop a more specific relationship to our story. As the desire to tell a story is the desire to... Oh, right, this one. I don't like this one either. So this number one, ask yourself where a moment out there in the real world lives in the world of your story. Do this at least 3 times today. Make it a practice. Hate this question. I hate this one. I hate this exercise. Because I don't see a lot of things. Like, for example, Luigi Mangione killing that CEO prick. exists within the world of the story. Sure. How does it live in the world of the story? Well, that's hard to say. Is seen as a worthwhile cause to most of the cast and crew of Twink of the Damned. How am I finding the 90-day screenplay exercises so far? Worth giving it a go. I don't think they're bad. I do feel like I feel like it's stretching the process a bit past where it needs to go. That might just be because I tend to write really fast. And I don't know, and I don't know how to describe this really, but in my mind, the way that you write a script is you create a character in your head and you let that character gestate and kind of evolve as you write that initial draft. And then by the end of the first draft, you understand the character, or in theory, you understand the character. And then you can go back and make changes based on that. And here it's a lot of groundwork before we even start writing. And I personally prefer to just start writing as soon as possible. So I would create an outline first and then kind of figure out the characters as I go. This is wanting me to figure out the characters and then write, which is alien to me. But I do think people, and yeah, Derek says, I can definitely see where the book is getting repetitive and vague. And then we have spam on Twitch. Cool. Yeah, it's a little much. I honestly think that you could take these first 2 weeks and make them a few days, maybe even a week. You could take the first 2 weeks, make it a week, and I think you'd be a-okay. But also, that's me saying that without having a finished script. It could be that this is all very good and I am trivializing it. And the reality is I should be taking more time on this and I should be doing the homework more. And if that's the case, we will certainly see, because we are going to have, I hope, a finished product no matter what. And we will see how easy it is to get that product off the ground. There definitely is, yeah, I guess I'm thinking about it in between. I only have so much time to think about it, but I don't know. To me, it feels like like all the work is happening in the exercises, and I don't. Yeah, that's what it is. Thank you. It's redundant. A lot of the prompts are redundant. Yeah. It's not bad. These are all great things to consider, but they do feel redundant. And it does feel like it feels like with a lot of the exercises, I'm kind of wasting a bit of time until the next big one. Like I don't like this first question, or this first prompt asking where a moment out there in the real world lives in the world of your story. I don't see it as very useful, but I also can see where he's coming from with it. Whereas a lot of these little, like, the bravest thing I've ever done is blah 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 blah, feels very repetitive, and I don't love it. And that's why I'm kind of fast tracking it. Is I don't really, it's not inspiring me very much. It's also not great content, if we're being honest. Like, I'm actively losing subscribers with this series, probably because it's just not that interesting. I think once we get into the actual writing, hopefully we'll get better, and people will find this more enjoyable. But anyone who has opinions, please let me know. If you're rewatching this or watching this after the fact, let me know in the comments what exactly you think of the book so far, what you think of the questions, and whether I'm wrong about wanting to fast track them. Anyway, and I know that someone's gonna get mad at me for saying I I imagine that the cast and crew of Twink of the Damned would be pro Luigi. Is it Mangione? Mangione? Is that right? Is that his name? I don't even know. Yeah. Um, but I feel like they would be very pro Luigi Mangione. Mostly because I know that most of my friends are pro Luigi Mangione. So, but like, yeah, it would be a worthwhile cause. What else? Out there in the real world, moments out there in the real world. Oh yay. See that right? This right here. This is the point of the whole thing, in a nutshell. I'm glad that it can be helpful for at least a couple people. If this helps just one of you to write a screenplay and fulfill that aspect of yourself to some degree, mission accomplished. I do wish that we were getting subscribers out of it. I'm not going to lie. That is a bit of a bummer that we're not getting subscribers. But we'll see what happens. I am editing the shortened version, the edited version of the first day. And I would like to put those out starting January 1st. We'll see how that goes, but I'm hoping that the edited versions will get a bit more traction. Huzzah. That's definitely Cinematech. That's definitely kind of where I've been. That's how I've been logicking my way through this, because I definitely I would be lying if I said I didn't consider quitting this series early, but I've quit so many things in the past that kind of like my main character, I need to learn to get through things without taking the easy way out. Although, of course, his lesson is to quit in the end, but we'll ignore that. Hell yeah, that's the spirit. All right, so I don't have 3 real world moments. I mean, the election of Donald Trump is a travesty that casts a negative shadow on the filmmaking process, as many become despondent over the state of the world. I think that's a fair way of looking at things as well. I'm sorry I'm only looking at these things politically, but let's see. Trying to think of a movie that would have some effect, and I'm just immediately going to Barbenheimer. What's something I've seen recently? Hold up. I'm not even watching movies anymore. I'm so backed up with work. There's not really anything that's come out that I don't know. I'm gonna abandon this question or this prompt. So, as your protagonist, write for 5 minutes, beginning with the bravest thing I've ever done is the bravest thing I've ever done. I hate this one because I dislike this one. I'm not gonna say I hate it. I dislike this one because I don't see Josh as believing that he's done something that would qualify as the bravest thing. But if I'm looking at it outside of the self, see, I still haven't watched I Saw the TV Glow. I apparently really need to now. Bravest thing I've ever done. Ooh, actually, you know what? For the 3 things, the boost in queer film making in 2024 gives Marilyn more confidence in the film being a success, in Twink being a success. There we go. There's 3 things. The bravest thing I've ever done. Fuck. Buckety fuck. Titty Cops. Bravest thing I've ever done is watch Titty Cops 1 through 3 in order in one day. Bravest thing I've ever done is save a dog from getting hit on the interstate. There. I can't think of anything related to the actual film. The most cowardly thing I've ever done is hide my expenses. I'm just going to come back. That's my go-to, is something about the money. I know this isn't logical, but I keep buying equipment rather than investing in my crew. I feel misunderstood about I feel misunderstood about my career and where I have intended to take it. Most intimate moment of my life was when I fucked the shit out of Mickey. No. I hope Mickey doesn't watch this. Ooh. See, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I could see this film turning into some sort of Uncut Gems anxiety thriller in the second half with all this talk about money troubles. That's not a bad idea. Okay. Where are we on time? Oof, 48 minutes in. Gotta knock this shit out. The most intimate moment of my life. God, I don't. I'm gonna be smalty with it. When I spent my first night with Mickey. Aw, they're in love. I would describe myself as gay as shit. I would describe myself as a gay underground filmmaker. I feel like that's something that he takes some pride in. There we go. Day 19. And again, I definitely had something highlighted on my Kindle here, and I do not remember what it was. Okay, at least day 20 still has. I'm kind of gone back and forth between reading this on my computer and reading it on my Kindle, and unfortunately, the Kindle doesn't always sync up. But basically, this is about, I think it actually states it right here the best. People rarely reveal themselves at their most fundamental level. When they are saying dialogue, when we have dialogue, the dialogue is not is not going to be directly what a character wants or means. It's going to be something that we have to translate. And he uses Casablanca, where Rick says, of all the gin joints in all the towns and all the world, she walks into mine. And that means, how can I ever escape the woman who broke my heart? But he doesn't say that because that would be dumb. we want him to say something that is representative of what he really means. So day 19's writing exercises. Number 1, write an 8-minute stream of consciousness dialogue between your protagonist and an antagonist in the story. Both of them want something, and each faces an obstacle that stands in the way of them achieving their goal. My cat's whining. I'm going to use the restroom real quick because this is going to be a bit of a chore. So I'll be right back, and then we will continue where we left off. Okay. Let's continue. All right. So, write an 8-minute stream of consciousness dialogue between your protagonist and an antagonist in the story. Both of them want something, and each faces an obstacle that stands in the way of them achieving their goal. I feel like it has to be Josh and Marilyn. So let's actually, here's what we're going to do. There we go. I had a little page break. And I think this should automatically. So let's dialogue. Okay, both of them want a finished film. And this would be well, let's just try it. All right. Josh walks into Marilyn's office. She's sitting behind a large desk, smoking and glaring. Nervously, he sits down. Actually, no, he doesn't sit. He stands across from her. Marilyn. Oh, come on. Come on, fade in. Give me a break here. Why is this? This should automatically. Character. There we go. Josh, I'd rather not. Marilyn, I'd rather you did. All right, let me just get rid of that real quick. All right, so we basically, I can't tell. Okay, and this is another. Okay, this is another one that bugs the shit out of me. Write an 8-minute stream of consciousness dialogue. I don't know if that means write for 8 minutes or write 8 pages. Because 8 pages would be 8 minutes. But anyway, sit down. I'd rather not, or that you did. Let's see here. The movie isn't coming along the way I'd like. Same. I think I need more money. That's too bad. You're not getting any. This is, of course, going against the lesson that was set up just now, because I'm just kind of stating facts. Things got out of hand. Obviously, you don't have a finished film, and it's been a year. That's unlike you. How long did The Gaze of Winter take, huh? 4 days of shooting and a month of editing? It seems like Twink should take twice that long at most, and yet here we are. Let's see. Right, Derek? Like it doesn't quite like he's not telling me exactly what he wants. And like if this was a class, it'd be fine because I could ask him, but I can't fucking ask him because I don't have an actual teacher here. All right. Obviously you don't have a finished film, and it's been a year. By the way, let me just double check real quick. How much more do we have to do? We have the next questions, and then day 20 we have basic questions or basic exercises, prompts as well. So this is the big one. Let's see. Obviously, you don't have a finished film, and it's been a year. That's unlike you. How long did The Gaze of Winter take, huh? 4 days of shooting and a month of editing? It seems like Twink should take twice that long at most, and yet here we are. I've done my best. That's not true. He hasn't done his best. That may be, but 40 minutes of footage isn't something I can sell overseas, now is it? Then he skirts that question because it's not something he can readily answer. I've done my best. You said that. I don't know what else to tell you. Tell me there's going to be results. Tell me that you have a plan. Tell me anything that won't force my hand. What does that mean? It means you have a contract to fulfill. I know that's not something you've encountered often before now, but it's something very near and dear to my heart. A contract is something that can't be misinterpreted, at least not one of mine. It's black and white, and it tells you just how fucked you are in any given moment. I don't suppose you've reread that contract anytime recently. I'm already getting a hand cramp. Fuck. What am I? What year is it? Ah. don't suppose you reread that contract anytime recently. No, I haven't. Your contract states, since I need to remind you, that you're to have a finished 80-minute supernatural erotic film completed and on my proverbial desk within the selected time frame. That time frame for an edited, for a finished piece ends in 1 week's time. At that point, I face a question. I face a conundrum. Either I can sue the ever-loving shit out of you for breach of contract, or I can give you some extra time. One of those seems like it will grant me more money than the other. Josh says, I can finish this film. You're not proving it here. What can I do to prove it? You can show me a finished product. We're not here to win awards. We're here to produce content. Show me some fucking content. Josh sits still for a moment. Stares at Marilyn. She seems immovable. I'll get it done. See that you do. That's 2 minutes. All right, so Marilyn needs to break Josh and convince it and get him. Like, this is really her strong-arming him into finishing the fucking movie, because while she could sue him, that's probably not going to grant her. That's probably not, like, she says one of the two things will grant her more money, but she doesn't say which one. And I don't think suing the shit out of him is really that great of an option. I think that the reality is Marilyn wants him to finish the movie. And that's what she's pushing him to do, because she is experienced in this. And even though she is a bad person, they do want the same thing. I don't suppose... What? I don't suppose I could get more money to pay the crew. Pay my crew. Get the fuck out of my office. I feel like that's the end. She says, "Get the fuck out of my office." Done. That was about 8 minutes time, right? I don't know how long that took me. Yeah, I feel like I like Marilyn all right. I feel like Ginger will like this role when I show it to her. All right. So, as your protagonist, write for 5 minutes. The lie I continually tell myself is that I am doing things the only way they can be done. I fear that when people look at me, they see a fraud. If you were to ask the closest person in my life who I am, the closest person, okay, so maybe Mickey, they would say a professional and a good person. Because Josh doesn't believe himself to be a terribly good person because he's fucked up, but I feel like he would think like that's what Mickey would say. So, the thing I care most about is getting films made. It's true. My last thought before I fall asleep. This is again like this is one where I'm like I don't know how useful this is. The last thought before I fall asleep is whether or not I'm going to catch a break the following day. Things are not going great. My first thought when I awake is, ah, shit, another day. All right, day 20. Our job is story. Okay, so this is moving beyond our idea of the story. And I have two highlights. Our job as storytellers is to put characters in situations where they are tested, which is very much what we're doing with Josh. And he says, I strongly suggest having a scene by scene outline. We'll work on that. We will work on that. But first, our writing exercises. Number 1, every story begins with the question, why is this day unlike any other? What is the inciting incident around page 10 that sets the story into motion? Well, that is Marilyn promising to sue the ever-loving shit out of Josh if he doesn't bring her a finished film. See, I feel like this exercise was way more useful than anything else we've done, and that's why I prefer to just write it. But 2, as your protagonist, write for 5 minutes, beginning with, every time I think I'm going to get what I want, it seems that it's taken away from me, or that the goalpost is moved backward. Something I expect from others is for them to show up on time. Something I expect from myself is to show up before others. I am terrified of failure, and I will never declare defeat when it comes to. So, well, I mean, this is one of those where his arc is that he has to essentially declare defeat on the project and start over. I also feel like a lot of this, like when you are initially writing a screenplay, it evolves as you write it, and you realize a lot. I'll never declare defeat when it comes to... Oh, I mean, that's his arc. So I will never declare defeat when it comes to finishing a film. Done. And you know what? Day 21, I believe, is the last of the week. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just do day 21. Thank you for that, Tia. All right, let's just 1A, I will die before I 1B. If I had no fear, I would immediately 1C. I will never forget the time I 1D. I could never live in a world where 1E, the most dangerous thing I've ever done is if we do finish this, if we get through this whole book, I would like, and we finish the script, I would like to try doing this again, but with my methodology instead of Alan Watts. I feel like that, I don't know, there's part of me that wishes I had done that from the get-go, but I'm already in it to win it. All right. I will die before I admit defeat. If I had no fear, I would immediately... I just realized I didn't read this fucking chapter, though. But it's about staying with it and protect your work in progress. I'll read this later and see if there's anything useful. It is good to try new approaches. That's true. Let's see here. Actually, I'll read it at the end, and we'll see if there's anything that we can grasp from it. If I had no fear, I would immediately start work on my dream project. I will never forget the time I I will never forget the time I ate In-N-Out for the first time. It was a revelatory experience. I will never forget the time I finished the final day of my first shoot. It was orgasmic. I could never live in a world where film making did not exist. The most dangerous thing I've ever done I'm going to take this from real life because I don't have anything, is climb a rock face without any safety equipment. He's an outdoorsy guy, that Josh. I no longer agree. It's like, what? I don't know. I no longer agree. I don't know. Fuck. I no longer agree that this is like this. It feels like someone writing a class syllabus and having to fill the 90 days. That's what it is. That's what bothers me about some of this. And again, I think a lot of this is worthwhile. I think that if I was not doing this as a challenge, I would skip a lot of it. I might even skip all of these initial weeks for the most part. But I'm not going to do that. I no longer agree that. Let's see what this chapter is about. High screenwriters, Edison had many false starts before he invented the light bulb. It's the same with story. We can puzzle over our idea and even grow frustrated, but if we continue to apply our tools, we eventually experience breakthrough. We need to stay with the process. In every moment of every scene, something is always on the line. If that doesn't make sense, get quiet for a minute, and you'll see that it is in existence in every aspect of your life. Go straight into the struggle. Be specific. If you are feeling bored, restless, or confused, let's get quiet and explore the truth of our hero's struggle. The irony is it will bring us relief and lighten our mood. When we go into the struggle are willing to write the forbidden, our story tells us what we need to know. See, that feels like a platitude to me. Protect your work in progress. There can be a temptation to want to tell people our movie idea. Some writers are concept driven, and for them this approach may be helpful. Yet there are plenty of terrific movies that might never have been made if the screenwriter had relied on the feedback of others, at least while they were early in the process. I hear far more tales of writers becoming confused and frustrated because their idea was met with derision than of those who benefit from telling their story to others. A writer recently told me that the response he got from his idea was that it sounded like he had 3 movies. Here's the problem with telling our idea too early. At this point, we don't even have one idea, which is why it can seem random, unformed, illogical, and just plain bad. I feel like here's where this isn't working for me, is I have an idea of who this character is already. And so I find a lot of these prompts to be superfluous. Anyway, most folks out there are result oriented. My friend's story was about a schoolboy who feels like he doesn't belong. An alien lands in his neighborhood, and together they set about fighting the forces of evil. The problem is that what fucking movie is this? The problem is that he was relaying his still formulating idea while his friend was judging the movie. We must trust the nature of our impulses. Saving the world may mean averting nuclear destruction, or it could mean stopping the evil gym teacher from putting the kibosh on the Halloween dance. An alien landing could mean a 9-foot green creature from planet Zykor, or Billy's arrival from Cincinnati. By holding our ideas loosely and inquiring into their nature, our story comes together in ways that satisfy our deepest intention. I don't feel like I learned anything reading that. Ooh, I like that one. I like that a lot, Derek. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use the shit out of that. I no longer agree that an ending should just be slapped on the film. It should be creative and organic. There we go. Now we are 20 pages into a lot of bullshit that theoretically helps us. And that's week 3. We just did all of week 3 pretty much in one day. Hell yeah. And next week we get into the outline. Let's see here. Let's take a look at what we're in for. More Right for 5 minutes shit. Okay. Read over your 3-page out. When did we make a 3-page outline? This is better. I like this. I like going through outlines. So tomorrow should be much more interesting now that we've gotten through all this bullshit. Yeah. Yeah, I do feel like this. It feels like it's more a book that's coming from the mind of an educator than it is from a screenwriter, if that makes sense. And Alan Watt has made way more money hawking advice than actually following through on his own. So that, at least I assume he has. I don't know like how many screenplays he's helped ghostwrite or whatever in Hollywood. Maybe he has done a lot more than I think. But it seems like his bread and butter is advice and teaching and selling workshops than actually writing scripts. we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But we are through the most boring part. That's the important thing. We fucking made it through the really, really boring part of this whole process. Week 4 should be much more interesting. And let's see. And then after week 4, we get into the actual scripting, which will probably take us a few days to get through week 4, just based on what I'm seeing. Although there are a few days that are pretty basic prompts. But I do want to go through the outline as much as possible. So we'll see. Okay. And that's it. That is another day done. Thank you guys for joining me. This one went a little longer than I wanted, but we got through it, and that's the important thing. So next episode, we will start digging into our outline, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty and all the fun stuff, and also a few superfluous prompts. I'm going to go drink a lot of water. Until next time, guys, go make a movie.
It's gonna take me some time to give you all that is mine. I'm looking all